What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. We didn't have any show yesterday, didn't have any show over the weekend. There wasn't even any WNBA on the slate for yesterday. That's why we did not have a show. But so I guess there's not really anything to talk about. It is good to be back here today. We have a nice 5-game slate to look at, and good to have you back, Veno. How you doing today?
We're good today, Skee. Like you say, yesterday a little day off from the WNBA. Last time I played was Sunday. Had a 2-2 Sunday. No thanks to Phoenix. It was good without Phoenix. That was a bad play on Sunday. But yeah, ready to get back to it today. 5-game slate, and we got a full week of games ahead of us, so should be good to go now.
I don't know if you saw this comment or not. Jeffrey B says, got $100 on the show starting later than 1:30 p.m. That's minus 1,500, buddy.
Yeah. That's right. Hasn't been around long enough, I guess, to realize.
All right, let's get to it. 5 games. We won't waste any more time.
Mm-hmm.
Go in rotation order like we always do. That means 601, 602 is first up. Dallas and New York opened up minus 7.5 for New York. Up as high as 11 is what I'm looking at now. Total open 169.5, and I'm seeing it as high as 177. Big move on that total. Injury report: Maisha Hines-Allen still questionable for tonight. For the Liberty, they continue to be without Stewie, Savali, and Kennedy Burke. For the Liberty, they did get a win in that last one. But they haven't been playing the best basketball here, Rob Veno, post All-Star break. They did also lose to Dallas after the All-Star break, 92-82. So it's a chance for them to get a little bit of revenge here. They are at a slight rest disadvantage. I'm curious if you think, what we saw in that second half of that Connecticut game was enough to convince you that Liberty should be laying double digits now.
Yeah, it's hard with them, Skee. We've been talking about the same injuries with this team for about a week now. No Breanna Stewart. I've said enough that for me, the most important thing about her is her defense and the fact that they had 3 frontline players all sidelined at the same time, which they still do. Kennedy Burke, along with Sabali. It's hard, but they did, incorporate Mieseman into the lineup. First game, I think she only took 5 shots. I'd have to look back. I think she was like 1 for 5 from the floor. But you would think that in the second game with 1 under her belt, now maybe that would help them a little bit, gives them a little extra height, even though she can play from the perimeter as well. I just don't, it's hard to lay points with a team that's going this bad at this point in time. That was a huge revenge factor game on Sunday against Connecticut, and they couldn't get the job done. They're a little bit overvalued in the market. So I think the way you have to look all the time is directly at these big dogs against New York at this point in time. It's hard to trust the Dallas defense. They've allowed 86 plus in 9 of their last 11 games. I looked at the New York team total. I think it's somewhere around 93.5, which is, it's a lot of points to score. Not that Dallas can't give it up. So as I kept looking into this game, the odds maker just keeps taking things away from me. I don't even know, Skee, how to zero in and maybe single out something in this game. First quarter, first half. I thought about first quarter with New York back home, but it's it's the first home after some road games. I'm not so sure as to which way I'd like to play this one. I'll say this. Arike did not participate in practice on Sunday, and the total was already fairly high. And then when she was announced in, it got even higher. Dallas game totals are getting to be extremely high at this point in time. I know they're both fast-paced teams, and I know I'm a proponent of playing Dallas over, but at this price tag, I'm not so sure I can get there. So I let this one go. I don't know that there's a result here, quite honestly, that would surprise me. So that's probably why I haven't bet it.
Yeah, I'm going to actually just double check this here. Team equals wins and season equals 2025 and total higher or equal to 175. They've only had one game this high. It did stay under. It was versus the Fever on August 1st, just a few days ago, 78-86. So 166 was scored. So yeah, I mean, that goes to what you're saying. We do think of Dallas as a team that's not the best defensively. You know, 175, you start to get up there. 176 and a half. I can understand how you might think it's gone too far. I did see, what is it, Algina in the chat say Dallas team total over 81 and a half. That Liberty defense hasn't been great. I mean, a lot of that losing streak was them just giving it up. I think they've given up just below 90 points per game the last 5. But hearing them talk, it is going to be a focus moving forward. So it's one of the tougher games. One of the tougher games for sure. But there's no way that I can lay the 11 with the Liberty the way that they played. I agree with what you said. They're just overvalued in the market right now. Gun Dramaticus, appreciate you. Reminding everybody to hit the like button. Definitely helps us out over here. All right. Let's keep going down the list. Mystics and Sky. And for this one, we had the Mystics open at -5.5. Now I'm seeing mostly 7.5s. Total open 158.5. Not a whole lot of movement there. As far as an injury report, I don't see anybody on there for the Mystics. For the Sky, Angel Reese out once again. Looks like Ariel Atkins is back. Onyenwere is probable. Haley Van Lith is truly questionable. So fairly healthy, but you are missing the big dog and Angel Reese. Definitely a difference maker for that team. A couple things that pop out first to me in this game here, Vino. Number one, I don't view the Mystics as a team like that I don't want to be laying multiple possessions with. I don't think the offense is good enough for that. And they've just been so inconsistent so far this season. Like 13 and 15 team expected to win by, closer to double digits. I'm just not loving that. As far as Chicago, couple things, or the main thing really, we see it across multiple different sports. When teams fire the head coach, everybody steps up and plays hard and says, "Hey, yeah, it was his fault. It wasn't us looking that bad. We can be better than what we've showed out there." And that's how I would be looking in this game. So at the house as well, I would only look at the +7.5 here. How you feeling about it?
I'd agree with every bit of that. Washington, I think we've talked about it before, probably not the most trustworthy team when laying a huge amount of points, especially when they're on the road. You don't want to lay this type of number, and you don't want to lay that type of number in this situation, like you say, against a team that could be, first game under a new coach usually is a good way to bet. General rule of thumb, any sport. First game, new coach, team puts their best foot forward. Of course, they won't have Angel Reese, which does hinder them, obviously, offensively. The last time these two played, which was pretty recent, was the last game Angel Reese played, and it was very high scoring. I remember having the over in that game. It did go over. Part of my reasoning, probably 3/4 of my reasoning for playing any Chicago over as of late has been their defense is just so bad that everybody scores on them. They've given up 83 plus in their last 7 games. However, and again, I did this with you last week on one of the shows, and if I just do the mathematics of it all, Chicago without Angel Reese is about a 66, 68 point scoring team. Now, granted, her absences correlate to Ariel Atkins being out as well. So now Ariel Atkins is back. So I have to ask myself, with Atkins back in the lineup, can they jack that up from 68 to 75? If they get to 75, that means Washington has to get to 84 in this game. Can they do in order to send it over? Can they do that? It's possible. That's also a cover for Washington. I'm not so sure they're going to get to 84. I don't know that they'll cover. So again, there's a ton of question marks. I can go back and forth with this one. I think in the end, Chicago's biggest problem of all, ever since Courtney Vandersloot went down, is ball handling. Just turn it over way too much. And maybe having Atkins back in the lineup helps the ball handling a little bit, and they can stay close here, closer than the 7 would indicate. So I would probably try Chicago +7 if I was going to play. But again, did not play this one. Let it go. Would have loved to get to the over here, Skee. I just can't convince myself that they can get enough points in this game.
Well, first of all, I want to say that these teams did play last. A lot more people besides Angel Reese were out. I think Atkins,
Mhm.
Onyenwere was out, maybe even another player too. But the Mystics did win and cover as a 7.5 point favorite July 29th. So I just want to throw that out there. But like you kind of mentioned, I mean, a lot of those games where they were struggling to score was not just only Angel Reese out. Like getting the ball handler and the playmaker and Atkins definitely helps out. Like that's the kind of things that they need for their offense. So I don't want to talk you off of and over. This is probably the toughest game on the slate for me today. So
Yeah, we wondered too,
feedback.
Skee, real quick, does she slot right back in? We talk about it all the time when a starter comes back. She missed 7 games. Does it disrupt things? Does it help things? We really don't know. We often answer that question after the game is played. We have the answer, but until the game is played, we really don't know.
Yeah, this one has it's a little bit too many question marks in my mind. So we'll keep it going here. And the next game up will be Sun at the Mercury. Opened up -14.5. It looks like 15 now. Total open 164.5. And it looks like as high as 169. So this one continues to go up. As far as who's available, I don't see anybody on the injury report for either team. So that is something that's rare in professional basketball nowadays. Love to see that though. First game off a long road trip for the Mercury. I believe a 5 game road trip for them came to an end. So now, like that, I kind of mentioned this earlier on, or no, maybe I was just thinking it. But the Mercury, yeah, I did. I mentioned it on Wager Talk today. But the Mercury, their schedule has just been, it hasn't been good. It's been a really tough schedule for them as of late. I think now in the near future, their schedule starts to get a lot easier. Now, with that said, Connecticut, they have been playing really good. What do I see here? Yeah, they've been competitive. One, two, three, four, five, six. They've covered 6 of their last 8. It could extend beyond that, but that's what I'm looking at here in front of me. They have been playing good. And I mean, they figured out how to play without Mabry. Now you get Mabry back in the lineup. That's a lot of offense. She looks good. Like it's hard to run to the window and lay. I mean, lay 15 against them as hard as they've been playing, as good as they've been playing. They went through that stretch where they looked absolutely pathetic earlier in the season, but they look like a clearly different team since around All-Star break. 15 points here for a Phoenix team that has been the opposite. Like they've looked terrible. They've been so inconsistent. They've been what do I have here? They won 1, 2 of their last 6, 7, 2 of their last 7 games. Like, and they're laying 15. So, I'm gonna be real. That's what stands out to me in this game. For some reason, the market expects them to blow them out, even though they haven't been playing the best. And Connecticut's been playing better. I'm curious if you think that big number is warranted.
I don't see how you could think it's warranted, Skee. I mean, you just in that analysis brought up about 3 or 4 reasons, whether you mention them as reasons or not to fade Phoenix, but they come across certainly as reasons to fade Phoenix, most notably first game back after a long road trip, double-digit favorite of this price. I mean, Connecticut just covered 2 numbers against the Liberty. Granted, the Liberty are injured, but still, it's a better team, and it's a team that in the second game had revenge. Connecticut talked a little bit. This is why sometimes you can't take overall seasonal statistics at this point in time. We're deep into the season now. Overall statistics will show one thing. Your favorite last 5 games can show another, but Connecticut's talked a lot about being better defensively. Marina Mabry, I think, said it before last game that their offense, she knows their offense isn't the best, but they know that if they play defense, they can create offense and stay in and they certainly did. I mean, they held New York to 33% shooting from the field in that first matchup. And then the other day, Sunday, they held them to like 23 or 24% from three. And we know the Liberty are a good 3-point shooting team. Marina Mabrey, by the way, in those two games, from 3-point range, only went 3 for 17, and Connecticut was still competitive. So it just goes to show you that they're getting better and better. Things are coming together. The coach has mentioned it a couple of times now that they seem to be playing better. So plus 15 would seem to me like that would be your initial look if you're playing side. For me, I looked at the Connecticut team total, tell you the truth, Skee. The beginning or earlier when we talked about Chicago, I mentioned I'm not so sure Chicago, can they get to 75? Connecticut's proven they can get upper 70s almost every night now. And Phoenix has not been the best defensive team as of late. Their defense has gone south. They'd rather outscore you than defend you. I don't know if that changes here just because they're home, but I know Connecticut is playing with a different desire right now. And if I'm going to get 40 minutes out of them, and to enhance that, if they can get to 78 in back-to-back games with Mabrey going 3 for 17, a little bit above 12% or 13%, 3 for 17 from 3-point range in those two games and still get to 78, I'd expect her to have a better game than what those numbers indicate, a little bit of a bounce back game. And I'd expect Connecticut to get to 77 points and go over their team total here.
I had some thoughts, to what you said. First of all, to what you said about, what Mabrey mentioned, the Sun are the number one defensive rated team last 5 games. I don't think we've been able to say that all season long, but they have been playing a little bit better defense. Now, when I hear that, and I'm talking about how much better the Sun have been playing lately, now I'm just looking a little bit closer at who they've been playing. A struggling Liberty team, injured Liberty team twice. I mean, they did lose by 16 to Seattle. They played a Golden State team who I believe, they might have been on the back-to-back, but they played on the road pretty much every game since All-Star break, and they were playing a lot of games in a short time frame, and they're injured too. So another banged up, injured, not playing well team. They lost by 15 to the Sparks. Phoenix, I know they haven't been playing well, but I think I'm just going to be honest. This line is kind of telling to me. Like, I want to find any and every reason I can to back Phoenix. I just haven't been able to figure out what the exact reasons are, to latest 15. But this is screaming to me, it looks so easy to go run and take the Sun, and they get blown out in this game. Like, that's how I feel about it. Take a look at the chat. Jose says team total over, so he's agreeing with you, I guess, on that. Jeff says Connecticut on the road just worries me. Offense much worse away from home. And Connecticut, I feel like Phoenix is better at home too. They've been on that road trip, so they should play better in front of their crowd. Nate asking, how about the long travel from Connecticut to Phoenix? How will that impact the Suns? Let's take a look at when they last played. Connecticut
Would be Sunday, right?
Yeah, they played Sunday in Connecticut, yeah. Then travel across country to Phoenix. That is a good point. Phoenix did have to travel from Chicago back home to Phoenix as well, though. And we do talk about first game back home after a long road trip is usually a flat spot for basketball in general, right? This one is tough, but I don't want the Sun here just because I feel like, what I always say, Veno, when I feel like they're begging me to go and run and take this number, I don't want to be on that side. So I'm going to hesitate for now. But like I said, throughout the day, I'm going to try to find any reason I can to back the Mercury. ZB Miami says Thomas assists and rebounds over. Go for it, Veno.
I was going to say, I think one thing we didn't talk about that may be the biggest factor of all, Skee, is the status of Satu Sabali, right? It seems to be a little bit of a saga there. Does she come back with a vengeance after what went on over the weekend, or does she pout a little bit? We're not sure. And just real quick to show you the difference between teams, and you're absolutely right. Phoenix has had a tough go of it schedule-wise. The schedule maker wasn't kind to them. I think 5 straight road games or whatever. But the schedule maker was equally, if not more, unkind to the Atlanta Dream. And the Atlanta Dream, without Ryan Howard, played through that scheduling difficulty like crazy the last couple of weeks. So I don't want to say that Phoenix is descending at all as far as results go, but I would say that every team hits a lull in the season. And perhaps this is it. I just don't like when you hear more out of a coach than you have all year long. And I've read more out of Nate Tibbetts' mouth in the last 5 days than I've heard or read all year long. And for some reason, it reminds me always of Michael Malone with Denver. And it's usually when the team is going south. Connecticut, to the point of what I like the best in this game, over 76.5. They've gone over that number 7 straight games. And the point was made that their offense not as productive on the road as it is at home. And I would say that since they have, I think we could all say they've turned it up a notch, or they're playing better. Let's put it that way. Since they've been playing better, they haven't been on the road. So it's hard for me am I going to gauge recent times, or am I going to gauge all season long? That's kind of what I was talking about when we first started this analysis. Sometimes overall can be misleading.
Fair enough. You know what else is worth a look too, though? I mean, I don't know what the number is. I forgot to look, but Morrow, man, she be grabbing those rebounds. If she don't do nothing, she's gonna go up and get a rebound. I would be curious what her number is tonight for the Connecticut Sun. All right, Fever and Sparks. This game opened up -1.5 for Seattle. Looks like -2 pretty much everywhere. Total open 159.5. And consensus, I would say, is 156.5. As low as 156, though. Injury report, nobody on there for Seattle. Nafisa Collier got hurt in that last game. Had no business really being out there of 50 points. But now they'll be without her for about 2 weeks, I believe. Or I'm sorry. I messed that up, didn't I, Veno?
She might have gone to the Fever and I didn't know.
Yeah, I messed that up. That's my bad. My bad, you guys. It's because something on my screen, it threw me off. So let me get back on track here. I'm supposed to be on Indiana and Los Angeles, right? So this one opened -1 for LA and flip of favorites, -2 for Indiana. Total open 172.5, and it's up to 178, right? Injury report, Caitlin Clark out. Nobody else out in this game. I'm going to pass this one to you while I get situated, because I was on all the wrong game. Let me get myself back in order here. Fever and Sparks, right. Big move on the total up. I mean, it's hard to argue against it in the Sparks game. How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, it is hard to argue against it in any Sparks game. And these totals in LA Sparks games, whether it be full game, first half, team totals, they've just started to climb. Odds makers are catching up. Only 5 games ago, the Sparks were in the 165 to 168 range. And here all of a sudden we're into the high 170s because all they do is score. All they do is allow the other team to score. I know the past game against Seattle went double overtime, but it was 86-86 at the end of regulation. So it was over the total during regulation. It didn't really need the overtime. We've talked about them, Skee. They're playing better. Cameron Brink can only help them more. The more she plays, she can only get better. The team can only get better and more cohesive. But they have certainly identified themselves as a team that's just going to try and win a high-scoring game. Indiana's playing sensational. 5 straight covers. Caitlin Clark doesn't make a difference. They were great on the interior in their last game. I've mentioned before, they're first in the league in second chance points. They go to the glass very, very hard. And it could, Los Angeles has that nice front line, but I generally, against a more powerful front line, would lean toward Indiana getting a lot of second chance points here. LA will push. It's a difficult game, actually, to call as far as side is concerned. The only thing that separates it for me is I do think as bad as they are, well, I'm not going to say as bad as they are, but not being a great defensive team, I think Indiana is better defensively than LA is. If it comes down to needing a stop or two, I'm taking Indiana before I take Los Angeles. So it's an interesting game from that perspective. I would love to play over here, but you need an 89. What do you need? 89 to 89 to get there. It's not that it's impossible. It's very possible in a Sparks game, but everything has to go right to get to that type of total. So again, I think the odds maker priced me out of this game. And I think if I had to, as well as both of these teams are playing, you really have to love the way Indiana's playing right now. So I think I would be on their side if I had to play it. But it's another one where, like I say, the prices were just out of my range on both sides, side and total. So I let it go.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting the ass into the line on the total for sure. Side-wise, I mean, I'm looking at it a little bit here. I know the Sparks are off of overtime, but they've had 3 days to rest here. They should be just fine, or double overtime rather. Um, Here's how I think. Indiana, yes, they've been playing well. They played the Storm after, that was a terrible situation for the Storm after the double overtime game. Um, they played Dallas. I mean, that's a bottom feeder. They played Phoenix, who's been looking really bad on their road trip. They were able to win that game. Both teams surpassed 100 points. They played Chicago, no Angel Reese, no Atkins, no anybody. They played the Aces, who have been struggling versus everybody. Like, how impressed am I with these wins? Is kind of how I'm looking at it. I mean, Sparks have been playing good too, post All-Star. And I get that they haven't been playing the best competition either. So this does feel like, a step up for both teams. And this is a chance for the Fever to get double revenge, but that might just show you that the Sparks could be a little bit more talented than the Fever. At least when I think about these two teams, like, I would prefer to have Plum, Azare Stevens, Hanby, Rakia out there, versus the Fever. I know Fever been good without Clark, but when I just look at talent like that, I like the Sparks side better. I know they haven't been good at home all season, but like you mentioned, all season long stats might not show how well they've been playing lately. Sparks, I know they want to make the playoffs. They're out of it as it stands right now. This is one of those games that they need to win. I would be looking more towards the Sparks. I think that, they've already beat them twice. Why can't they beat them again here at the house? Breast advantage 3-1. I'm looking a little bit more towards the Sparks side here, Rob Veno. The chat, I think they're liking the Sparks as well. Let me scroll back up a little bit here. So 91.5. Wow, that's a huge first half total. But B Daddy says he still likes it over. Jeff says the line screams Sparks, but they're off at home. Yeah, I mean, the line is kind of pulling me towards the Sparks too. Thoughts on Plum over 2.5 made threes? I don't have that strong of an opinion, honestly. I mean, I don't want to talk you off Plum if I'm liking the Sparks. I'll tell you that. ES Gooner says body clock might be off for the Sun. Okay, that was the last game. My bad there. I do think Alyssa Thomas is going to make a push or try to make a push for MVP. You got B out, CC's out. I'm not mad at that part right there. Anything else we have on this game? I don't think we do. Jeff says he likes the Sparks too because they've been impressive since right before All-Star break. Right, we're in agreement there. Dirty Reg says the Sparks got a better roster than most any team in the league. They got a big five now that Brink is back. I think they just weren't playing up to potential early in the year. And, a lot of it has to do with them not being great defensively, but I like what I've seen. It's a one-way ticket. I'll be looking at the Sparks here. Anything else before we move on, Vino?
A couple of quick things. Again, they're only going to get better with Cameron Brink, Skee. I think they are going to make the playoffs. They're definitely one of the 8 most talented teams in this league. And the other thing, when we left off on the Phoenix game, you just reminded me now, if we're looking for reasons to play Phoenix, it is Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner against their old team for the very first time. So perhaps those two, for folks who play props, could be interesting there tonight with Thomas and Bonner.
right, let's keep going over to the last game, the game that I was trying to skip ahead to before.
You
Lynx
like
and
this?
Storm. Open -1.5. It's -2. Total came down from 159.5 as low as 156. And like I said before, nobody on the injury report for Seattle. B is out for the Lynx. Got hurt at the end of that last game when they're blowing the Aces out by 50 something. Had no business really even being in the game, but as a result, she is hurt. Now the Lynx do have the rest advantage here, slight rest advantage, and it's a chance for them to get some double-digit in-season revenge. But I mean, this is what, a 25-4 team here, Vino, and we now see them as underdogs. I mean, that's pretty telling in itself. I know the Storm are on back-to-back losses. I know they desperately need a win, and I think the Lynx might be more of a little bit of a letdown spot after shooting 60% from three and winning by 50 points. Do you see it that way? Are you in agreement with the move down on the total? Which way are you looking at this game?
Well, I totally agree, and it's more the situational stuff that you just mentioned. To me, Minnesota has now built a 5.5 game lead for the number 1 seed with 11 to go. There could be a little low here. I don't like anything that we've seen out of Minnesota when they've been without Collier. When they played a couple games without Collier, they were not good. Now they do get Carrington into the fold here, which I think, Dejanay Carrington's strength is the defensive side. So Minnesota probably becomes a better defensive team. She can add a little offense, but she's not the most consistent shooter, scorer, etc., but very good defensively. So maybe Minnesota becomes a little bit better defensively. But they have built a huge lead, and I just think it's a sigh of relief game or a little breather type game where Seattle, as you mentioned, they can't afford it. The log jam to get into the playoffs is getting tighter and tighter and closing in on Seattle. And they played Minnesota fairly tough so far this season. Lose 94-84 in Minnesota and lose, I think, win the first one in Seattle 82-77. They beat them outright. I think they can probably win this game. Again, I just don't like the way Minnesota's played. Even though it's only been 2 or 3, any game without Collier hasn't been a good offensive game to me. I think they probably struggle a little bit against the Seattle defense. Seattle off 2 straight losses. It's all situational, Skee, in this particular case, but I do think Seattle's probably the right side.
I think so as well. I definitely think so. My bad. I'm gonna pull this up on the screen here. Actually, some things I was looking at. Just share for the visual people like me. If I can get it correct. There we go. Share screen. Should be here. And I know that I got to hit it one more time because they changed. There we go. So let me get back here. Storm this season off of a loss. 9-3 straight up, 6-6 ATS, 7-5 to the under. But just looking a little bit closer at the team totals. I mean, I'm just gonna do some quick math here. 1, 2, 3. Only 3. I mean, my bad. Let me say it like this: they've held opponents under their team total 9 of 12 games after a loss so far this season. Now, if we look at our back-to-back losses, only 2 games so far this season. Both opponents were under their team total. You see this here, 2-0 to the under. I think this is who the Storm are really. Like when you lose twice, that's what you get. You get defense. 6-0 to the under here. You see every opponent went under their team total. Like I think that's the identity of the Storm, right? And if they're hungry, they're coming out. Like I think that's how they're going to win the game. If anything, even if they don't win, I think they'll play defense. That makes me think of team total under for the Lynx. And one more thing I want to look at here. Let's go to the Lynx so far this season, and let's look at them. Let's see if I can do this right. Off of a win, Or maybe I didn't even need to put that. Off of a, have they won by 30 plus? Let's do 20. Let's do 30 plus. See if they won by 30 plus this season. I think they have 2 games. They're 0-2 straight up and ATS after winning by 30. Shows that it could be a little bit of a letdown here. Team total is kind of 1-1, but some interesting stuff to say the least. Rob Veno, any thoughts on those things that we put up there?
Yeah, just while you were talking, I looked up their team total, 77.5. 3 games they played this year without Nafisha Collier in the lineup. They scored 64. That's less than 77.5. 74. That's less than 77.5. And then they got 82 against the Sparks, which is more than 77.5, but it's the Sparks. So I think that, looking at the Minnesota team total under and knowing that Seattle's a pretty proud defensive team, I think is a good look as well as the side here with Seattle at home.
Yeah, last thing you remind me of this too. The Lynx without Collier, they played 3 games this season. All 3 have stayed under. And if you go back to last season without Collier, they are 7-1-1 to the under, 2-7 ATS. So big deal. I know she's good on defense, but they're definitely going to miss her 23 points per game. And I'm just double checking here for the team total. Or rather than that, I'll leave it like that. But you get what we're saying here.
Mm-hmm.
ES Gunnar doesn't like it, says 77.5 is low. Looking at an outline. I think they can still get there though. All right. I think we did a pretty solid job here, Vino. 5 games. Took us 37 minutes, but we knocked them out. And before we get to best bets, let's go ahead and throw this up there because it is $5 Tuesday. So Rob, I'm pretty sure he has a top play up and available on his page for $5. I do as well. My guy UCapper's been killing it. Maybe go check his out as well. But yeah, Cappers have a top play on their page today for $5. You can check their write out. Check out their write up and just get a feel for how they handicap and what their picks might look like. So with that said, let's see if I can do this correct here. Boom. We're back to normal. Getting better as a producer, I guess, a little bit. So we'll move it to best bets, Vino. I'll ask you if there's anything else you'd like to promote. And look, got the banner at the bottom now too. I guess I was slacking on that earlier. But yeah, anything else you'd like to promote? And if you have a best bet for the show, we'd love to hear it. If you don't, all good.
I'll just say really quickly, Skee, that the $5 play that I have up for today is actually a college football game from week 1. And it's up there for 1 day only. After today, I'm going to take it back down. So if you're interested in college football week 1, go ahead and purchase the $5 play over at wagertalk.com. Best bets, the more I think about it, Skee, the more I like it. I'm going to leave the chat with Connecticut team total over 76.5. Even if they get blown out here by Phoenix, I would assume that if it's a blowout, Phoenix gets themselves into the 90s. And Connecticut's good enough to chase to 77 in my estimation here. You do run the risk that Phoenix is angry off of that road trip, but I tried playing an angry Phoenix team the last 2 games, and they didn't respond at all. So I'll go with the Connecticut team total over 76.5.
All right, good stuff, Rob Veno. For myself, I just opened up my wallet and jumped in. I talked about it earlier, talked about it again just now. Gave plenty of reasons why looking at Minnesota Lynx team total under 77.5 seems like a solid way to go today. So that would be my best bet for the show. Lynx team total under 77.5. Vino, good to be back with you. Appreciate you taking the time to cap these games with me. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys as well. Good people, entertaining, and you guys help us, get to the bag as well. Some good insight out there as well. Twitch, X, Kick, YouTube Shorts, Spotify, Apple, we love you all as well. We will be back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure we have a game. Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow. We do have 1 game, Aces and Valkyries. Same time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So best of luck on all your action today. and we'll catch you again tomorrow.